Between DFS and betting, I paid off $197,000 in student loans. I had multiple six-figure wins, as high as I think 250,000 would be the highest in one single day. We were dating for about 3 years in college. I was a big-time player. We had a little bit of a separation when I graduated, which she didn't take kindly to, and she went and hooked up with a kid from school. I've tried to figure out how to get her back. So I was walking through the mall one day. There was a kiosk where they had this reality show sign up. They called it Shipmates. I was on there with a perfect 10 model. We had sex on the boat. I cheated on her on the boat. The whole school saw it at lunch. She didn't even know it was on. You either need to be super sharp in order to win at this gambling game, or you need to be the house. And a lot of times being sharp coincides with being the house.
What's up, everybody? I am here joined by TommyG from 4Deep. Again, Ryan, CEO of DubClub, hosting the CEO Corner podcast. Tommy, how are we doing?
Doing great, Ryan. Whenever I get a chance to spend 5 to 60 minutes with you, I'm very excited. So we'll see how long we make it before you get bored.
Yeah, there is a big variation in the duration along which this can take place. But we'll jump straight into a reminder on what the CEO Corner is. It's where sports cappers open the playbook. These are premium sports content creators. They talk about the businesses they're building. They serve as the CEOs of very successful online businesses, generating well north of 6 figures annually. On DubClub, these CEOs are building their business from the ground up. And we go behind the scenes with them to talk about lifestyle, talk about betting memories and tips, and other juicy content. There's a lot of juicy stuff with Tommy. He already disclosed some of it in the preview before I could even get us going. Tommy's background, let's start with Tommy. So former Sirius XM media personality, top 5 daily fantasy player in the United States, was featured in the first documentary ever made for Daily Fantasy, otherwise known as DFS. He's a professional sports bettor. He's the current owner and CEO of 4Deep, which is a sports consulting business that helps tens of thousands of people make more informed sports betting decisions. And I'm going to end the intro with a fun fact that Tommy was on a reality dating show once upon a time.
You did your digging here, huh?
We are going to start there. Usually I start with a business question, but it's too difficult to.
So the first question is, how uncensored is this, or how censored is this? We're trying to be respectful. Because I could do no cursing, and I could turn off the viewers in 30 seconds. So you tell me.
Well, here's a good way to think about that, Tommy, is you think about, you go to a bowling alley, you got the rails up on the side. Just think of my media team as the rails. So throw the bowling ball as hard as you can. Go ahead and take us through the reality show, please.
All right, cool. The reality show, wow, we're starting there. So I basically, in college, had probably the first, kind of young puppy love of my life. And we were dating for about 3 years in college. I was a big-time player, as you probably know, before and after that. And during that time we were together, we had a little bit of a separation when I graduated. And I won't get into details in case this finds its way to her, which most of my stuff tends to do. Great girl still. But we had a little separation over that period of time, which she didn't take kindly to and thought it was unwarranted. And she went and hooked up with a kid from school who was kind of like an underling of ours, like a kid that we brought in who was kind of nerdy, and we kind of made him cool just to piss me off, like the worst person to hook up with. So I've tried to figure out how to get her back. And as I was walking through the mall one day, there was a kiosk where they had this reality show sign up, which this is 2003. So reality shows weren't even a thing yet. So I could say I started reality dating shows. And it was called Shipmates. And if you go to Google and you Google...
Shipmates or Shitmates?
It was Shipmates, but they called it Shipmates. Okay. But if you go Google TommyG Shipmates, it actually won episode of the year. I was on there with a perfect 10 model. We had sex on the boat. I cheated on her on the boat. It was pretty intense. Wow. It was 4 days on a cruise ship. Doesn't even seem like it's the same person, but it's a very entertaining watch. And I got a lot of shit for it before, after, and currently.
That is a rocket ship start to the show, and nothing I wouldn't expect from this conversation. What you described by the nerdy guy that you brought into your circle. Have you ever seen that movie Can't Buy Me Love?
I have, yes. I was thinking that. I was thinking.
I feel like you're telling me the plot of that movie.
It pretty much was. Yeah, he like we were ravers, and I was a DJ, and he dyed his hair blonde, and he was like a clown, and then all of a sudden. That was the perfect person to piss me off, though, Because if it was a
Yeah.
good looking like senior, I wouldn't have cared. But that's the one where you're like, all right, game on. So I did that just to get her back. That's the only reason I went on the show.
Did
And
it work?
Oh, it worked.
Wow.
Yeah, the whole school saw it at lunch. She didn't even know it was on. And it aired on UPN 9 at 2 o'clock during school. So,
Man,
yeah,
UPN 9.
that worked. That was
Look
the
at-
end of
look
you.
at
I
that.
was the end of UPN 9, basically.
Yeah, the beginning and the end. Started off famous, still
That's when the
still
channel
going
went
strong.
downhill. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, look, I mean, we can go deep on that, and I will do that with you offline. I think for the purposes of this show, let's talk about how 4Deep got started and where I like to start, because you have a very awesome setup where to provide the business experience and the product that you guys provide, you have multiple people working with you, right? Like I think what I found fascinating when you started, you partnered with DubClub initially, was that you really, among others that we work with, but you have a team around you, and you do a great job delegating, setting boundaries for yourself. It always feels like you're busy, but you're busy on the high level important things, not being too nitty gritty and in the weeds.
Right.
But every great entrepreneur has a success story, and there's always an origin that kicked them off. So tell me about your first big sports betting memory. Let's rewind the clock to what got 4Deep going, and we can go as far back as needed to dig into these
We're going way
handles.
back. So my dad left when I was little. My dad left when I was like 11, and I think I was 9. This was like his parting gift to me at like 9, 10 years old. He did a office pool where you had to pick all 16 games. Keep in mind, this is back in the late 80s. I'm old. I'm 45.
Yep.
So, and I actually hit all 16 games and came within 6 points of the Monday night. It was like 1,000-person pool. And I remember back then, he won about $3-4 grand, whatever it was. It was like a $20, $30, $50 office pool. I swept it, and I got a PlayStation for it, and that was it. Not realizing at the time that he made like $3 grand and I got a video game system. But but that was the bug. That was it. It was over. And from that point on, it was scratch offs. It was, remember the little tickets at the kiosks and stuff, the pick 'em, the 4 tickets. When
I
we
still
were
do
younger.
those. That's a big East Coast thing I've learned.
A huge East Coast thing.
Having
Yeah.
been out west for 20 years now, I still go back east. My family lives back there, grandparents, whatnot. And it's it's a scratch off every
the
day.
old mafia tickets are everything out here. I'm an Italian from New Jersey, so obviously that was in our blood. And I became a degenerate gambler at that point, and wasn't always a professional sports bettor. I was a horrifically stupid bookie chasing me young idiot when I was younger. And through that process of doing everything wrong and being a bettor, right, being a degenerate, it's probably past statute of limitations. I was running numbers for guys in Long Island, and I started to get on the other side of the business. When you're an 18-year-old kid and you're making $500 a week and you owe a bookie $800, you're desperate, right? So they send you to go either get them clients or pick up money, things like that. And that's how it started. I started on the wrong side of the fence. And over time, it took me about probably 6-7 years till my late 20s to realize that you either need to be super sharp in order to win at this game, this gambling game, or you need to be the house. And a lot of times being sharp coincides with being the house, taking plays that seem uncomfortable and don't feel right. And I just started it was a slow process, but I started to change the way that I looked at spreads, change the way that I bet, started to establish a bankroll, started to try and, rein myself into not just taking money, throwing it in when I would lose it all. I would just redeposit when I got paid. And that led me to DFS, which, really, I was a stock trader. I worked on Wall Street. I did major finance economics out of Villanova. And, I started to really use my analytic brain instead of just my, wow, this line looks wrong, take the bet brain. And it helped me start a business. It helped me teach other people how to do it. It helped me get my own personal finances. Between DFS and betting, I paid off $197,000 in student loans. I had multiple 6-figure wins, as high as I think 250,000 would be the highest in one single day. So
we're going to get into it. Don't worry.
Yeah, it was. It did a lot, and don't get me wrong, still a lot of big losses in there, and still a lot of things that didn't go right. But overall, it's been a very profitable, successful, and now being able to parlay that into educating other people on how to do this and help people who don't have the time to do the research or the brains to figure that stuff out. I built a team of people around me who have brains because I don't. I'm a gorilla. And we built a pretty awesome crew here. And that's why our retention rate is so high. And that's why, we continue to thrive and have a 7-figure business for probably going on 6 straight years now.
Yep. So I think there's a lot in there that I want to unpack. I'm gonna start with the basic question that I think is really, really valuable for people to understand. You talked a lot about learning. Mm-hmm. And I think what's really important to note when you talk about learning and making mistakes, one of my favorite quotes from the founder of Amazon, we all use it, Jeff Bezos. It's the world is a classroom, right? So you make mistakes, you'll figure it out. The best way to learn is to do and trip, F up sometimes, fix it. Don't make the same mistake twice.
There's never been anyone who's got successful off their successes. It's always your failures. I have a quote that I don't know where I got it from, or I'll claim I made it up, but I didn't. It's you win or you learn. So there is no loss, right? Every loss is a learning experience, and it's your decision on whether you lose or not. Just because the result didn't go your way, if you decide to go looking for the reasons of why you lost or why things failed, then it was a learning experience. If you don't, you just take the L and move on and process over results. Just keep doing the same thing over and over again. That's the difference between the extremely successful people and people who end up rotting into financial purgatory.
Yep. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, and I know we're deviating a bit from
we're going to deviate a lot.
I'll bring it back.
Yeah.
The comment you just made around that learning loop, I'm reading a book now, Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke. Talks about, she's a former professional poker player, now an investor, but she talks about every chance you get, it feeds the learning loop. And if you deem something as luck and throw it out of the learning loop, you lose that opportunity to learn from it, because life is like poker, again, not chess. So there's no system and there's no process you can follow to go from A to Z systematically, right?
It's like a slinky, I used to describe it.
It's a slinky going down
It's not a straight line. It's not a circle. It's
the wind
just fucking
blowing.
Wiggles and flies all over the place. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I guess my question, bringing this all back together, is considering learning is such a big part of building a business and being a founder of anything, which I can certainly attest. Mm-hmm. Can you talk about some of the evolutions of your business from day one?
Oh, yeah.
And wrap it up with, as the CEO of 4Deep, really tell the audience what it is that you guys provide. What's the value prop and what's the vision? But maybe to get to that point, it'd be helpful to sort of linearly go from the beginning. How did you get this thing going? And what was the impetus?
So I started as a stock trader, and my whole thing was not just analytics like most day traders. I wasn't a long-term investor. I was a day trader. A lot of stories behind that we'll get into on another podcast, part 2 or something. But when FanDuel came around, that's why you'll hear me talk about DFS a lot, which is daily fantasy. I'm sure everyone knows what that is on FanDuel, DraftKings, all the other sites. When that started, I got into that in 2012. So I looked at it almost as an investment opportunity where I got into DFS. I saw that there was an angle there to I was in a couple documentaries, as you spoke about earlier and stuff, kind of the founding fathers. There was about 15 of us that really were making, 6 figures, 7 figures off daily fantasy sports, right? It was in the New York Post. There was a lot of really cool stuff that happened to us. And that was the first time where I started to realize that you can make betting a living, right? I was 27 years old, making $600,000 a year stock trading, and I gave it up altogether. I gave everything up and started a fantasy football company for daily fantasy. And, it was a huge risk to other people. To me, it wasn't, because I felt like I'd done the research and due diligence to understand that I can beat this game. And if I just go about it the right way.
Talk to me about the fantasy football company. What exactly did that entail?
So I was doing the stock trading stuff, and I was teaching people how to trade stocks. I was traveling all over the world. I went from Singapore to Dubai and all that. So when FanDuel started, I kind of eased into it, heavier than most, but eased into it to see if this was a viable career. And once I started to win, I got in touch with SiriusXM, and I would call in as a guest for Dr. Roto, who was one of the guys who put me on the map back then. And
Dr. Roto.
Dr. Roto, he did a lot of seasonal stuff, and he was trying to talk a little daily fantasy, but no one on SiriusXM Fantasy knew anything about daily. So I was just a caller who'd call in, and I was doing it intentionally. I knew what I wanted. I was a resource to him. We became friends, went out and met Jeff Manns out in California at a Vegas event. So I had a plan for this to get on the radio for this stuff. And
you were hustling.
I was hustling. I was going. I was buying flights. I was buying drinks. I took the whole FanDuel staff out to a VIP party at Rain, dropped about $9,000 at the first live final on just the FanDuel staff.
Did
So
your voice sound the exact same back then as it does now?
probably it's pretty much the smoker's voice that's been going on forever.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, anyone that gets you calling into a radio show
They
needs to
knew.
get you as a host as soon as
Well,
humanly
it
possible.
was part of my plan and part of their plan also. And funniest thing is, I don't bet as much basketball. I'm big on college sports, baseball, and obviously football. But basketball was where that was where the hole was. Everyone was doing NFL. Everyone did the other sports. They didn't have any DFS basketball guys, so that's what I studied up on. Ended up getting my own show on Sirius XM. So that kind of was the segue to answer your question of how I got into this. I was doing the stock trading and stuff full time, got out of the stock teaching business, the mentoring business, which I was doing, which was very lucrative, supplanted that with my DFS play. And then to totally basically put stock trading on the back burner for a bit, I needed to have another source of income so I wasn't 100% reliant on gambling winnings in DFS. And that's where Sirius came in, built a little brand, built a little name for myself, had some monster hits, had some monster moments, and I became the kind of bad boy in the industry. I was the Playboy Mansion party nut job who was cursing and saying fuck and drinking beer on shows, bringing girls bikinis. And back then, no one did that. It was very PG. Everyone was trying. It's fantasy football, right? So that gave me my angle. Thank you to SiriusXM. Thank you to Roto Grinders, a lot of other companies back then, which helped me get off the map. And once I got a following, I knew, you know what, I have a big enough presence now where people will pay for my advice. And I think the thing that separated now from then was then, even though I was probably better than 99%, not the best, but better than 98% of the people, I was still learning too. I was still learning how to manage my bankroll. I'd never had months where I made $380,000 before. And I was going and entering $40,000 tournaments. I mean, I was in a $23,000 FanDuel tournament in one Sunday. I had $78,000 in play on a Sunday. I lost track of money. I lost my head. So everyone goes through that. And I really surrounded myself with other players just like me. So our company was great. Our projected goal at Guru Elite, our first year, was about 500,000. We did 5 million, right? That first year. So we 10x'd our projection. And we had the highest price point in the industry. And the way we did it was by having just all high stakes assassins in that company. And all guys like me who drank and partied, and we were the bad boys. We used to call ourselves Elite Mafia. Now what I've done is I've moved more towards specialists, right? I've started to realize the regular player, although it was successful for them, we need guys who are going to be in the chat with them all day, who are going to sit with them, who are going to coach them. We have my MMA guy, Mike Constantino, literally cornered Khabib and Amanda Nunes. My soccer guy, Kababble, does just soccer. I have a college baseball guy. We have a hockey guy. So every sport, we have someone specific to that sport. Some are lower stakes players, some are higher stakes players. But it's just a nice mix. And the thing I found, Rye, more than anything, was the community. You're all about that here at DubClub. You guys are just trying to compile all the best handicappers and companies around to really, like you say, win more together, to have this huge community where we could all win by being one unit. And that's kind of what we have in a little micro version of that at 4 Deep, where we have all these little specialists all over, and we live in the chat. So when you say CEOs don't get involved in the minutia,
They do.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But you try not to, right? You try to stay on the high level.
They do. They present that they don't.
Right, exactly.
I'm
you
always
do
in the
too.
minutia.
Yeah, you're
I
always
just present like I'm not,
exactly.
micromanaging.
My
But you do
problem
so
is-
by, asking the right questions, getting the right information.
You
Don't
gotta have
breathe down
assistants
people's
too.
necks.
That's one thing you're going to learn. You need assistants. You need people to help you out. My problem, probably, which the subs love, is that I may be too accessible in our chat room. Whenever you pop in there, 10 in the morning, I'm in there. 2 in the morning, I'm in there. And sometimes,
I mean, I can relate there, Tommy.
Yeah.
If you think about your constituents as a CEO, at least you can think about it the way that you'd like. But at least for me, there's 3, and you have to order the hierarchy accordingly. But it's customers, employees, shareholders. People give you money. I talked about this on the
100%.
show. For me, it is customers, right? You're a customer.
100%.
We
Yeah,
call
you guys have been amazing.
We're so obsessed, and you're so crucial to our mission that we actually call you guys partners in this.
And we feel like it. I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass here because I'm on your show. I wouldn't be on your show if I didn't believe it, because I've been with other companies. I've been all over this industry. I've done it on my own, and I'm here for a reason. I don't do anything without due diligence. And when speaking to you and Dash and Lewis and the whole squad, just going out to Chicago and meeting everyone and the accessibility to you guys, it's fucking insane. How accessible you guys are. There's,
Well, but that's the interesting thing that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned boundaries.
Yeah,
it's hard because you're
hard.
like you're so obsessed with your users and you're doing this for a reason. You want to help, but at the end of the day, you're a human being, right?
Right.
And if I get texted by somebody at 11 p.m., my natural inclination, even though my girlfriend of 6 years is looking at me like, "What are you doing?" We're in bed about to go.
Right.
Like my inclination is like, I want to help. I want to assist.
Maybe it's important. Maybe they need me. Maybe this will, yeah.
Exactly. But that's where, setting the system in place for your lifestyle is really important. And you've probably you've done a good job with me and I've seen it firsthand of delegating. You sort of offload when you can pattern recognize a question someone asks is actually answerable by someone else. And you've noticed I've done that too.
You do it too, which is great. And
I did it with Dash on Monday with you. You called me and you gave me your problem. And I said, look, man, Dash is your guy. I'm here to talk about anything else at this point, but I'm not going to be helpful for you. Talk to Dash.
Yeah.
And it just redirects to the point at which like you and your users can figure that out. So I guess for you, how do you manage those boundaries and I think manage the expectations that someone has when they're in your premium service, not fully being able to always access you, knowing that you are
that's
empowered.
That's the thing that's probably a little bit easier for you guys, at DubClub being a much bigger company, we're tens of millions of dollars and, having a team of, I don't know what, you probably got 30 to 100 employees and people doing all kinds of shit all over the place. Anyone who's listening right now who owns a betting company, you probably got like a 1 to 10 man staff, like I have about 10 guys on staff and that's a lot for this industry, right? And I do that intentionally because you have to have departments, no matter how small your company is. Even if you're a CEO of a brand new Dub Club that has 30 subscribers, you got to plan to have 3,000, 5,000, 30,000. Exactly. And setting it up the right way from the beginning, setting departments, having specialists, having a customer service guy, like I do it in my chat, right? Where, I'm in there to fuck around all the time and talk. But that's one, because I love it, but two, because I think that's our edge. You guys have hundreds of companies on your site. How is 4Deep going to separate from other companies that have similar results in picks, right?
It's part of the world-class service.
Yeah, that's it. That's the way we're going to separate. We're going to separate
and
by
Tommy,
giving a home.
That's the mission. The mission of DubClub, help people win more together. It's also win more together as a lifestyle. It's like Nike, just do it. Win more together. Mm-hmm. That is a lifestyle. It's what you live in, what you breathe. It's how you interact with other people. It's positive vibes. It's lifting others up. Life is hard.
It's exhausting.
Life is hard. It's harder when you're losing when betting on sports. It's better when you're losing with other people. It's the best when you're winning with other people. But regardless, you win more together.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like it's not just like your tagline is awesome. Win more together. It's just as important to lose together. Because that's what I've found in this industry. And I was a victim of it too at the beginning. When shit's hot, you want to be out on Twitter screaming "fuck the world," and then all of a sudden you get on a cold streak and you hide for 2 weeks, right? Like I never really was one of those guys, but I had moments where I did it. And the big thing I've noticed about the Discord, because our Discord has very little trolling, very little people. We haven't banned someone in probably 4 months. They get rowdy. They're fucking nut jobs, but the community controls itself because we've set a precedent that, listen, we have a track record now of winning over a long period of time. We're still going to be shit for 2 weeks straight. We're still going to have horrible days. We're still going to double down when we shouldn't. We're still going to do dumb shit in certain occasions. But let's just keep the vibes high and understand that we're going to get out of this as long as we fight through it. Because what I think a lot of subscribers don't understand is as much as you want to vent, and my famous line in the chat that I tell to everyone is go text a fucking friend, right? Like you don't need to go. If you want to bitch about something in here, we're not go text a fucking friend. Right? This isn't your bitch session. Go call a psychiatrist. Go do something like that. And the subs are starting to reiterate it to people, right? Where people get out of line, they get checked, and the community regulates itself. That's when you've known you've done a good job, where you could leave it alone for 3 days and there's not going to be trolls and nightmares and chaos. And that allows me to have a personal life now. So that was a big learning experience as a CEO.
Yeah, and that advice is super important. What you just said is if someone is complaining or saying something, and it's very clear that they have to get something off of their chest or off their mind, but you're not the person to listen, and the ecosystem or the environment they're in is not the place to do it. Redirect them. That's advice. So one of the things that I do want to throw in here that's important for folks that are building these types of businesses, whether it's in the sports betting consulting industry, whether you're a capper, whether you're not, whether you're just running, like I highly recommend having people that you can lean on and trust and ask questions. I mean, I have like 3 advisors that I talk to on a weekly basis, and one of them gave me that exact advice, Tommy, which if someone comes to you with a complaint and they're looking to vent, you just got to be direct and say, hey, call your brother.
Yeah, go text a friend. Yeah.
I care for you and I want you to be able to vent, but I am not the person to receive this.
The beauty of my personality is I could just be like, shut the fuck up. Right? Because that's my personality. A lot of people can't do that.
And that's a huge deal that you've been able to establish that. I'm not quite there, but
it's not. You're a good guy. You're like I'm an asshole. So like
I try to provide the rationale.
You gotta you'll massage it better. Whereas I think I like to look at myself as like a leader of an army. Right? Like it is a mafia in my chat room and stuff. And I have minions and soldiers.
Command the troops.
That's it. And I think the biggest way to stop negativity in a chat room when things do get bad is to be the first one to be negative. Like don't hide from it. I go out there and we just blew a game today. It just happened. We had the Mets were up 5-0 in the 5th inning, and we had it to close out a parlay. And
you're
they
like,
lost
guys, I effed up. We'll get
I'm the first one going, fuck the Mets, bro. They're like, this team, fuck it. You go get the Mets, right? So if I go in there going, this team fucking sucks, fuck them. Now everyone's bashing the Mets instead of the pick.
Together.
Yeah,
it's
let's
not
together.
It's together.
Let's go together and attack the New York Mets.
Army, attack the Mets.
Take it off my back and let's go. How about I come with you instead of fighting me head on? So
I love that.
Little tricks you learn.
Super, super simple but easy framework that I think a lot of people can use, especially because some of the things that I talk about when I ask about challenges with my guests, it's always the negativity. It's always that. And I think that
Winning's
advice
easy.
that you provided, I want this to be something that people really take because there are little things you can do to sort of build the resilience and the longevity of these businesses. And that is one of them, is direct the energy, basically deflect it away from you and towards the common enemy, right? Which either is the book or it's the team that effed up or the player that effed up. One of the 3, someone can figure out where to go.
Not to overpromise either. I mean, like there's certain situations in the chat we'll get on a heater. Well, we get on a lot of heaters. Like we're a very profitable company, but when the heaters go and everyone else is like, let's go fucking triple our units tonight. I'm like, guys, this is going to cool off.
Slow it down.
We are regressing. We're going to regress negatively at some point soon. Prepare for it. So be humble when you're hot and be cocky when you're cold. When I'm cold and things are slow, I'm like, guys, we're going to fuck this shit up. Don't worry. But you don't want to be humble and vulnerable when you're cold. That's when they need a leader to step up and tell them everything's going to be okay. And when you're on fire, you need to bring them down so they don't blow everything you just won in the last 3 weeks and tell them, guys, you got a little lucky on those last 3 games. We had 5 50-50 balls in college basketball go our way at the buzzer this week alone. Cool off. We're going to regress. And just, it's your job as a CEO, as the leader of the chat, as the leader of men, to control the emotions of your subscribers and your staff to make sure they never get too high or too low. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're hopefully a Chicago sports fan, at least, Michael Jordan fan.
Yeah, I love Chicago as a city, and I do like the Chicago teams. I'm
I think there's
Jersey fan, but
yeah, I'd say
New York, New Jersey, obviously, but I do like the Chicago
out east. We'll keep it high level.
Yeah.
The point that you just made about a leader, a CEO, whatever it might be, their job consists of a few things, but at its core, it is leading, and leading means keeping level-headedness through
even
the
when
ups
you're
and
not.
the downs.
Yeah.
You can sort of think about it as there are valleys and troughs, but imagine as a leader you can cut through them with just a straight line. Right? So there actually isn't a lot of oscillation between the two, and you keep everyone's mentality very level-headed. And I think of like The Last Dance, Michael Jordan, you watch that, the whole time he's just sort of maintaining a high standard, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, living in the moment. I think true leaders are able to sort of command that type of environment around them. And it's hard. Like, I'll tell you, it's hard. I mean, I'm probably one of the most excitable people you can find.
Well, so am I. I mean, you were the same, right? Like, it's
like why else would we do this if it's not exciting? You can't get into it.
The first step in that is controlling yourself, and then
that's right.
Like I go text a friend, right? Like when I'm on a heater and I can't lose, I'm like, I'm fucking God, I'm writing all this to my friend. But then in the chat,
trust me, I see our chat.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you just got to know,
You're always welcome to let us know how you're feeling.
Oh, I'd brag
I'll
like
cool
a
you
maniac
down. Don't worry.
in there. Yeah, but then you go into my room.
I mean, I'll hype you up, but cool you down at the same time. Make sure you're.
Everyone needs a little management.
Agreed. So Tommy, let's get into kind of the thick of the questions I wanted to get to, because we got some really good content, but kind of derailed a little from a linear track that I wanted to take, and that is getting into the responsibilities that you have as the CEO of 4Deep, and talking a little bit more specifically about thinking through someone like Steve Jobs, who basically found markets with like bad products and built awesome products, and then like told these magical stories about them, sold the vision, the iPhone, the iPad,
right? Yeah.
You name it. Like they're still doing it long after he's gone. The job of the CEO is to sell the vision of a product. Can you describe to me, assume I'm somebody that doesn't know anything about what 4Deep offers. Describe to me why I should buy a subscription to your DubClub.
I mean, the way I would describe it is there's a lot of people out there who sell on performance, right? And a lot of times when I do interviews or do guest spots, I'll get off and everyone will be like, you should have talked more about how well we're doing and how good we are. That's not what I sell on, because that's not, I mean, we're amazing and I would put us against any company in America. But the thing that we do is 4Deep is a home and a community and a hangout and a club and a frat and it's more than just a betting company. And I know this sounds cheesy, and it's way more than that. During COVID, when I had my last company, Rye, we had 83% of our subscribers stay on for 4 months with no sports going on, right? Because what did we do? When we're losing, we go and we'll do shows. We do voice chat shows. I did a show during COVID, which was 63 hours long. I was on the voice chat for 63 hours straight. A lot of other drinks and other fun gummies, weed, and you name it, available to me to do it. But
were there listeners that stayed on that show for all 53 hours?
There was one who stayed on for about 37 hours, and I think I fell asleep for 5 hours on the microphone. But we'll
tell me you gave that listener some kind of reward or something.
Oh no, we hired him. We actually ended up hiring him after that. But
that's incredible.
It actually became my graphics designer. Wow. But that's normal. We do it during football season. I'll be on there for 22 hours straight very often, right? Because I don't sleep the night before NFL starts. So if we get on a good voice chat on Saturday afternoon, we'll run it through MMA, we'll run it through analysis till 5 a.m. and there could be 8 people on there, and then it's like, fuck it, we're not going to go to bed now. Let's stay up for the NFL games. But stuff like that you can't find anywhere else. Betting for 99% of people is not an income. It's not. It's a hobby. It's something that they're doing to escape, right? Like a video game or like a golfing. And if you want to treat it as all your subscribers are going to go there and make a living gambling, they're not. But I want to make sure that our subscribers can come here, pay a reasonable amount of money, and get their money's worth out of entertainment, excitement, and education alone. And then when the money comes in after it, the bottom line is most people are going to blow it anyway. You could tell them exactly what to do, and they're still going to fuck it up. It doesn't matter, right? There's a reason why they promote their losses in Vegas, right? That there's billboards saying this guy took us for $1 million, because it doesn't matter how much you win if you don't understand that this is supposed to be fun and this is supposed to be a community. This isn't to go make a living. That's why some of the lotto stuff that I see out there, that's great, that's cool, but that's not sustainable, So what we do better than anyone is we provide a community with specialists who are going to make sure you win money. And then on top of that, you're going to have the time of your fucking life in there. And you're going to get to say that the people I paid for, if you paid for Bill Rupp or TommyG, you're hanging with TommyG and Bill Rupp every week for hours a day. You're not, it's like going to, I love Barstool. I'm friends with Portnoy and Big Cat and those guys. But if I go sign up for a chat room with Barstool, you're never going to talk to Portnoy. You're never going to talk to Big Cat, right? Here you are. And that's the differentiator. You're going to be with us. We're going to be accountable for everything. And we're going to make sure you win a shit ton of money while you're doing it.
You took the statistics out of my mouth. Everyone, and I say everyone in the context of the majority, bets on sports for fun. Yeah. It's actually statistically proven. I run market surveys. I've surveyed our users. 3 in 4 people every single time. Why do you do it? For fun.
And
only
the other
40%,
ones don't realize that they do it for fun.
That's right. Only 40% say they actually. So 4 in 10 only. Not that many people do it to make money. Yeah. So it's definitely overwhelmingly for fun. And it makes sense too, because life is stressful. Mm-hmm. So what do people do? I mean, consumers spend money. Mm-hmm. They go shopping. They play golf. They do stress relieving activities. Betting is one of those. And by the way, it's really good for the brain. It's intellectually stimulating, it's socially interactive, and like there's upside. So it gives you something to look forward to.
Teaches you money management, teaches you how to be your own CEO,
teaches
right?
you discipline.
If you have a betting account and you have an account in MGM and DraftKings and FanDuel and your DFS account and a season-long account and you're managing all those things, guess what? You're a CEO of your own betting and fantasy financial business that you have to manage and make time and probably even get an assistant at some point to find out where the cool promos are at each of the sites and take advantage of them. And, it's a crucial step in learning to be a good businessman, to learn to manage your own finances and your own addictions. Right. Because for most
and just
of us,
be an adult, like a professional. Start to move into being more of a professional. But
the
reason I mentioned
all
that
of
is,
us were trolls too at the beginning. Right?
Yeah,
like
I mean, at the end of the day, we're all kids. Like everyone has an internal kid. There's a child inside of all of us. We push it down and get stuff done.
I don't push it down. I'm a fucking child.
Some of us
me on a Saturday
bigger
night
than others. But I think the reality is, with your guys' business, you sort of satisfy the needs of the majority, right? And I think it's about how we can make sure that more people know about 4Deep, and that's really a lot of DubClub's job. I think what I'm wondering about your journey to where you've gotten and sort of what you've built with 4Deep. What's been the most difficult challenge that you've overcome as a business owner, business builder, CEO of 4Deep, and can you share sort of how you've learned from that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a question. It was, like I told you, our first year we did $5 million in sales. We blew up. We were hiring people left and right. We were taking over the world. I mean, the Elite Mafia back, if any of you guys played DFS back in 2016, 17, we were Twitter. Like, there was no DFS Twitter. It was us. Like, I would go out there and start fights. We threw parties at the Playboy Mansion. We'd get bored at 2 a.m. and just hashtag TommyG after dark, and there'd be girls, drugs, drinks, like you name it. Like, we were the party. It was Wolf of Wall Street. In the New York Post, actually, when they did the full page spread, they deemed me the Wolf of DFS, right? And that was our brand, right? What happened to me was when sports stopped in 2020, you know a lot about this, probably another story for another podcast. Yeah. There was nothing to do, and we were entertaining, and I got into the conspiracy side of things and started a conspiracy podcast. And blew my Twitter account up from 40,000 followers to 243,000 followers in 4 months. I was fighting with Alyssa Milano, Chrissy Teigen. Wow. I broke Wayfair. I mean, I was on, that's how I met Portnoy and Big Cat and McAfee and all these guys. Tim Tebow was DMing me directly. Like, I was on top of the mountain. And it was all conspiracy stuff, a lot of COVID stuff, a lot of election stuff. And they deleted me. And we had the number 5 podcast in America for No Mercy. We were ahead of Pardon My Take. We were ahead of Pat McAfee and guys that I respect and was friends with at the time.
Who deleted you?
Spotify took us down. We got deleted from Spotify. I got deleted from Twitter. I got deleted from Facebook. Got deleted from Instagram.
Your Twitter account got suspended?
Well, it got suspended. I'm on my 35th, literally. This is number 35, my 35th Twitter account. So when you see 42,000 followers, I had 280 and then 250 and then 204 and then the next one got up to 80,000 and they just kept taking them down and taking them down and taking them down. I became
because it was all related to the same podcast.
I was one of the only people who was like over the target and able to provide a different voice to it, right? Like when you think conspiracy theories, you think the fucking nerds in their basement and talking like this, and you had an alpha male with female followers and athletes and Aubrey Huff and Kurt Schilling. It got so big, Rye. You know John McAfee from the McAfee antivirus? Mm-hmm. I got a DM from John McAfee, which I still have the screenshot of, saying, I'm a big fan of your podcast. Can I come on? So we did. Wow. I interviewed John McAfee before he died, Kurt Schilling. Like, it was taking the fuck off. And when they took me down, this part of that, you win or you learn, right? They took me down right as sports was about to start back up. And I didn't think, like, wait, my whole sports business is run through my fucking social media. What am I going to do now? And it's, I've been shadow banned and suppressed very heavily, more than anyone else. Never got my original accounts back. So that's been the toughest thing, to have a company that was just, people were just signing up by the hundreds, thousands, to now not get my posts seen. Like, you got to kind of spam a little bit, and it's a lot harder to grow. But
You don't think you could make a call to Elon? He's the proponent of free speech.
Yeah,
Like, hey, Mr.
yes.
Musk, can you
If you
let
believe-
me loose a little bit here,
If
please?
you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you. He's been great. I love Elon Musk, and obviously which side of the political aisle I lie on. Even though I try not to talk about it as much anymore because I am more back to my libertarian roots. But for me, I'm on a special list. Right? We did a Twitter space the other day. Dash saw it. He could tell you about it. Did a Twitter space the other day. It had about 15,000 people who listened to it at the time. It wasn't that big. It was a big space, but the next day I was completely unsearchable all over Twitter. People were sending me. I screenshotted it. I had a search ban on my account. If you go to twitteraudit.com, you could see amishadowbanned.com, places like that. I was unsearchable for 3 days and then let back on with my current TommyG Wins Again account. Not even with my old original TommyG account. So I think I have a little different set of rules than a lot of other people out there since I never got my account back. So once I get my account back, my original, I will be all in Elon Musk free speech. Until then, Elon, you don't have a fan here yet.
Well, I think like any fiction sci-fi movie you've seen, when you break something down, when it's I consider you a biological freak. Break it down, come back stronger.
That's it. It's like, now what's the next move? And the next move is for you guys, right?
The joke's on them. They're just making you more powerful. Every time
they
they take you down, that you'll just be reborn again as a.
The beauty of it is, right,
2.0.
whenever I do drop something and it gets a little traction, you just see out of the woodwork, holy shit, Tommy's still here. So it is kind of empowering, even though there's a lot of lows where you start to fucking hate yourself for being so outspoken. But if I could go back, I would have probably gone a little less hard with it because I knew I was over the target. I knew I was, Kathy Griffin, Alyssa Milano, Chrissy Teigen are tweeting at you directly. John Podesta tweeting at you directly. Probably time to chill out a little bit. but no, I felt I was on a mission. So I would probably do that over again.
Yeah.
Well,
when you're barreling full speed ahead, it's kind of hard to deviate course.
Especially when you got an ego like mine. I was just fucking loving it. I mean, it was
exactly.
I didn't give a fuck.
Don't kick yourself because that's probably fueling you. As
some
you
tombstone stuff there. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
But that is a challenge. I mean, that is a huge challenge, especially because your business is driven, like many folks in this industry, driven by social media. Mm-hmm. And so not having that top of funnel constantly being replenished, getting the visibility, that's really tough.
But honestly, right, we probably don't meet if not for that, because part of the draw to DubClub and to coming on board with you guys, and better than anyone, I did a lot of due diligence before I got here, and I had a lot of long talks with you, Dash, Lewis, Addison, all the guys to make sure I need a team now. I need to win more together now. I can't just go win on my own anymore. So when I was looking for the perfect team to join and unite and be a part of and bring my company onto the DubClub network and meet in Prez and Slop and all the guys that are here, I need that now, and I feel I could be an asset to you guys and the other companies on here, while you guys could be an asset to me and actually help me kind of expand and get out to those newer audiences that maybe I can't do anymore with the shadow bans and stuff like that. And so I appreciate you guys, and thank you for having me here.
Yeah, of course. And Tommy, it's been a pleasure working with you. And I think what's interesting from my purview, I get to see a lot of stuff in this industry, for lack of a better term. And it's just really clear that there is very little downside, if any, and a lot of upside to teaming up with a company like DubClub. I'll advertise the pitch for us. It's you will win more together. You will, as a premium sports content creator, make more money with DubClub than anywhere else, because as we grow, the network grows, you will grow. Mm-hmm. Period. It all trickles down. So why try to do it on your own? Why get sold a bill of goods somewhere else when the reality is the bill of goods is blank? I mean, that's the thing is, and I think you can attest to that, is like, we will deliver. Win more together is not just a slogan. It is a lifestyle. And that's extremely important to keep in mind, because you've got three former, Stanford athletes and a professional baseball player as the founders. Like, we will run through a brick wall to make sure we deliver outcomes for people using our product. And
you guys know the space, we know
the
how
space.
to attack it. And the biggest thing for me is I have a shit ton of ideas, as you know. I'm firing spreadsheets to you every day. Like, hey, why don't we do a show like this? I'm hosting a fantasy football world championship event with Enzo Amore, the WWE wrestler, in Circa. at the stadium swim in 10 days, right? And then after that, we're going out. Like I used to throw events at Playboy Mansion. Like I got so much stuff I want to do, but now I have a crew that I trust that we could do it with. So I plan on presenting a lot more of this stuff to you guys and bring in the top talent from DubClub all together. Like let's join together and do shows together, do parties together, take trips. And the more manpower you have, the less any one individual needs to dedicate their whole week or time to that, which is, you guys are building a super team over here. And that's one of the big things why I wanted to be here on the ground floor. And
that's part of the club experience too. Like it needs to be world class. And we rely on, again, our partners are such a core part of our mission that you're going to help create this world class club experience. But Tommy, it's not available to everyone. Like new people that come onto DubClub and start selling, you've got to hit milestones in order to unlock the perks of the club. Like this is, it's very much you win more together, right? You unlock perks, we'll feed you business, and it'll work together. But there's still a lot that people have to do. There's a lot of hustling to go on.
Right.
You're still selling pretty much every day. That's kind of what I was getting at with. It's really tough for you to overcome this challenge of not having social media as accessible as some other people, but you're going on shows every day. You're still selling.
You got to keep grinding.
Audience.
Like you can't either put your head down and fucking cry about it, or get your ass up and just accept it. Like I don't believe in past or future, and there's been a lot of. We can go into a much deeper conversation about this at another time, as far as time not being linear, right? And different emotions being the sister of the emotion that you believe is the exact opposite. But for me, there is no future. The future is just the present then. And the past was just the present then. So there is no thinking about tomorrow, next week, next year. It's what am I going to do right the fuck now? And if yesterday sucked, I got to make today awesome. And I have down days where I can't get out of it, but I'll go dark for 2 days. You got to learn yourself and understand that like right now is all that fucking matters, because I really, that point got hammered home when I lost my Twitter. And I went, oh shit, if I would have focused a little bit more about now, I was planning for 3 years from now, having 5 million followers and being the next Dave Portnoy and, like all that. And now I'm like, fuck, now I'm nobody, So right now is all you got. So if yesterday sucked, let's go get it today. It's a brand new day.
What I like to translate that to is build the foundation. You've got a good, sturdy foundation now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Good, sturdy foundation.
And that's why you got to keep those loyal customers and those loyal subscribers, those 10 people that are listening at 2 a.m. Take care of them, because at some point, those are the ones who are going to make sure that your next business or your current business stays stable. They're the foundation. Those people, those ride or die subscribers, and for you, clients that work their ass off for you,
Yeah. I think everyone should subscribe to the 5 follower rule. It's like, as long as you have 5 people in this world that would follow you anywhere, you're going to be fine.
Right.
I think that's super, super important. Let's get into some fun stuff. So we have about 15 minutes left on this episode. We're obviously going to have to do another one, and another like 5 or 10. We'll get there. But on this episode, a couple of things I want to get into, because I recently read the Billy Walters book, and he's just I don't know if you've read that yet, but just a fascinating human.
No, what's it called?
Such an awesome story. I forget the name of it. Right. It's I think it's just called Gambler.
Okay.
But it's about it's his background. It's his upbringing. Very very kind of troubled upbringing from the standpoint of not a lot of male leadership in his family. Lived with his grandma for a while. Just got into betting, got into visiting the pool hall. I think
Sounds
when he
similar.
was like less than 10. Yeah, no, I think it would be a really interesting book for you to read when you have the time. But generally, the reason I bring that up is because Billy was very good at betting, and he had a network, he had a team. Similar to Billy Walters, I would say you make more money betting on sports than the average person, than most people, frankly. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions related to this topic. And the first one is, what's the most you've ever won on a single bet? And do you remember what prompted you to make that bet?
So I tend to bet during football season in college. So my best sports are college football, any college sport, college football, college basketball. I'm the best in the country. Like no one can touch me in college basketball. But anyone who's listening to this, at TommyG wins again, put the money up. We will go head to head. I will destroy you. And then NFL, everyone's good at, right? Like everyone's good or bad. Baseball is one of my next best sports. So during my better sports, like college basketball, because keep in mind I do have stock trading accounts and stuff, so I'm not going to go $100,000 on a fucking sports bet or anything. But $250,000 was the biggest single day win Single bet win was probably around 100 grand, about 80, 90,000. But I stay around a reasonable number, and this is for myself because I've had months where I've won $500,000 and stuff like that. And I get outside my discipline bracket. I've found that I need to stay in that kind of 1,000 to 5,000 range for my bets.
Yeah.
And then I'll scale up to a $20,000 bet. I mean, I had a Jalen Waddle prop 2 years ago where, he turned his ankle in the first possession and it was a $23,000 prop. So that's it. But I try to stay in a more reasonable betting area now because I know I don't have a lot of discipline and I love fucking tequila. So if I end up fucking getting too crazy, it takes one night of drinking to blow my whole account out. So,
Yeah.
But biggest bet, probably $250,000 in a day. That was the biggest.
That's pretty big. That's a
It was
quarter
lot.
million
It was
dollars.
a lot. Yeah.
What did you do with that money? You won a $250,000. What
Part
did
of
you
the
do
reason why you never see me bet that size, because I blew about half of it in within a week, right?
Just betting or
bought a
on
Jaguar,
what?
bought a Jaguar cash for about $105,000. Went
Wow.
and, bought a Breitling. We were in Vegas for 6 days straight. Probably was dropping like 15 grand a night. It went fast, right?
Yeah.
But and that's why I started to realize that sometimes you got to realize I've been blessed. I grew up with nothing. Grew up with no money. Mom worked 3 jobs. The whole story. Was getting in trouble as a kid and all that. But I have no respect for money. I really don't. I don't respect it. I don't care about it because I've had the luxury of being and have been blessed with a mouth where I'm kind of an ATM machine, right? I have enough skills in enough areas that I know if I blew it out, I could just go make it all back, right? So now what I do is I take a large portion of my money, I funnel it into an IRA that I can't touch until I'm in my 50s. I've grown that substantially. I keep my fun money fun, but realistically, if I go make $500,000 this month or if I make 20 grand this month, I'm living the same lifestyle. I'm just going to have cooler toys, So it's like I don't chase that huge monster number anymore, and I try to stay in a range where it's reasonable and keeps me in my head. So,
Well, you answered one of my other questions, which if you won $1 million from a bet, which you won $250,000, what would you do with it? What would you do with the winnings? It sounds like you would funnel a lot of it nowadays into your IRA.
See, I think found money, like if I won $1 million on like a lotto parlay, right? Like a high slop $5 to win $1 million type thing.
You better take slop on a great trip if that's the case.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I would
that's
hope
the first priority. You guys go first class to Dubai on Emirates Air or whatever.
But that's what I would do. What I would do right now, and it kind of kills two birds with one stone. One, I look at the biggest deficiency for my business and my future right now, and it is getting exposure right now, right? Like I don't have the exposure that I worked 15 years to get. So I would spend a ton of that money, probably $250,000 of it or more, giving it away. Just going out, giving it away for followers, for exposure, to get in the media, get in the newspapers, do events, throw parties, really put myself on the radar there like you see a lot of these people do. And I would do that because it's fun and it's something I would want to do. I'd want to give it away because I'm going to blow it anyway.
Why not pay the Barstool guys, get on one of their shows?
Yeah, see, I don't want to pay anyone to get on there. I need to do it on my own. Like I really do. I need to do it on my own. I know Big Cat. I know Dan, Dave. I know all the guys there. I met with Portnoy 3 or 4 times about a prior business that we were going to do. For me, it's like it's got to be on my own. I have enough money that I'm good, right? Like if I shut shit down for life right now, I'm fine. My family's fine. I'm not up. I don't have $100 million, but there's well into the 7-8 figures sitting in there comfortably that isn't touched. For me, it's just win. Like I just want to fucking win. And I started this and I was on the trajectory and I was there and I got to finish this with partners, but my way. I don't want to buy my way into it. I don't want to join ESPN. I would tell ESPN to go fuck themselves, right? Like it's got to be my way. It's got to be on my own. And that arrogant ego is life's a game, man. And it gets boring if you just bribe your way to the top, right? So fuck that.
Here's actually a quote that, and I know we've had a lot of quotes on the show, but the quotes are actually important because
we're big quote guys. Me and
they
you
come
are big
from smart
guys.
people, and smart people are successful. And so I've learned to listen to smart people. I don't know if you know this business whatsoever, but there's a company called Snowflake. It's kind of a darling out in Silicon Valley. It's like a database cloud software business worth like I think tens and tens of billions. I have no idea how much it's worth now, but very valuable company, and the CEO of that company's name is Frank Slootman, the CEO of Snowflake.
Okay.
He had a really good quote. He's an exceptional CEO. Basically, everything this guy has touched has turned to gold, like tens of billions of dollars. ServiceNow, Data Domain was his first company, and now Snowflake. It's like just turned to gold. And his advice for CEOs like you and me, which is the reality, and all these premium sports content creators we work with, we all have an ego. You have to have an ego to be successful. You have to believe in yourself to a large extent, larger than often the average person, to be successful. But the key to being a really good CEO is figuring out how to manage that ego.
Yep.
And doing so appropriately.
So true.
And wielding that ego when it should be, like on this show, I can tell. I mean, it's just so fun talking to you because
we're just fucking around.
You know what what you're doing, and it's like that's a fun person to interact with. It's a professional. So you wield the ego when you know it should be, but you also have a sense of humility when necessary. Right. And I can tell you've been able to balance that.
I've always found that, like, because it is a fine line, because I'm just born this way, right? Like, I was just born a fucking little know-it-all. I was 5'6" in high school, right? Like, I was tiny.
How tall are you now?
Now I'm 5'11", but back then I was like the second shortest kid in freshman year of high school. I was like 5'2", right?
Yeah.
So like I was this tiny, super smart, tiny, tough kid who had no dad, right? Yeah. So I was like that definition of every little Italian from every mafia movie when he was 11 years old, like Caligula's, right, out there.
Yeah, that chip on your shoulder was just
chip on my shoulder. And then I had a really tough life up until about 24, 25, and been through a lot of shit that you could make a movie on. And then I realized that if you could, there's a quote that I say all the time that I tell my people, if you feel like you're going, big quote guy. If you feel like you're going through hell, keep going. Yeah. Right? Like, that's it. Like, and I adopted that, where I just adopted a I don't give a fuck mentality. And it made me a force multiplier like that, right? So I've found that humility isn't my strength because I think I'm fucking awesome, right? So sometimes I feel like humility is a lie, right? Like, if I'm being humble and I don't believe it, that's a lie. So I've found that the reason I've been able to be myself and not be Vegas Dave or fucking some of these other jerk-offs out there is I think the key to combining your ego and humility is nothing more than transparency, right? If you are transparent 100% of the time with everyone, people have seen my bet slips. We track our units. They've seen my worst. They've seen my best. I've talked to them about how I got beat up by bookies, and I've talked to them about how I bought a Jaguar cat. They know everything, right? If I have a bad night, I'm going to go on the fucking voice chat and bitch about how much I fucking suck because I think I suck at that moment. And if things are going great, I'm going to tell them how much better I am than everyone in the world. But that transparency, if you're a CEO out there, the one piece of advice I will give you, it's scary to open up the closet and let people see the skeletons, right? But as someone who got attacked and doxxed and all that kind of shit in 2020, they're coming out at some point. Everyone's going to find out. The bigger you get, the bigger the spotlight, and the more your skeletons are going to come out. Be the first to put them out. Go out there, be transparent, because it's going to give you the freedom to be the confident person, because it's hard to be confident and embody confidence when you have to pretend to be humble all the time. Like, your words create your world, right? So if you're constantly talking about how you're humble and I don't deserve this and it's all everyone around me, that's gonna seep in. You become that, right?
You become the victim. That's right.
If you
can't
can go
let
be
that
the
happen,
Portnoy,
because then the world will beat you down.
Yeah, just go stand on the mountain, and if people are gonna gravitate to you as long as you're transparent. That's it. Transparency is everything.
No, I think that's fantastic advice. Look, I don't want to leave this pod without doing two different sections. The first one is one of my favorite sections, because this one's going to be good, considering some of the commentary you made about your community earlier, and I'll recap that. The first section's about it's a user case study, so I'll kind of get into my favorite thing about I think just like learning about previous founders, people that have built things, just like how much user obsession, customer obsession comes through with like some of the best companies. Amazon's famous for this with Jeff Bezos, but like Richard Branson is all about, what does the customer want? Like, these airlines that people like to fly or actually care about the end customer, right? The ones that people don't like to fly, they're profit machines. Yeah. Right. So for you, one of my favorite questions to ask, considering the context you gave about, I have the quotes, rowdy and nut jobs, obviously very endearingly
Fucking lunatics.
is how you
Yeah.
refer to them.
Sometimes not endearingly.
But for your community, let's say you were subsidized with enough money to buy whatever you want for everyone in your community. What do you think they would prefer? What kind of personality does your community have such that this gift would satisfy all of them in a way that they're just over the moon, and money is not an object for you to buy this for them?
So is this for each individual? Like, give me an
Each
example.
individual
Give
gets
me an
the
example
same
of something
gift.
that I wouldn't use.
That you
Like-
wouldn't use?
That, like, an example, I'm not going to say, so you don't lead me in that
Like
direction.
a journal.
Okay, so not like a car or like something like that, like something small.
No, like you can get them a car. You can get them a private plane.
I mean,
like
if you can get them a
what's the
private plane and you
personality?
got them a journal, you're a fucking asshole. I'll tell you that.
I mean, I wouldn't suggest a journal, but whoever does
no, I got
probably
you.
would have 0 subscribers.
Realistically,
would have the nerdiest subscriber
here's what
base
I
of
would
all
get
time.
them. Here's what I would get them, honestly. I would get them a lifetime. So at my stock trading school that I ran, we had a lifetime mentoring course for stock trading that was $30,000. It was called the Diamond Package, and I still have the PowerPoints on it. I still have a lot of the videos, and I'm planning on relaunching that probably in the next couple years. That would be my gift to everyone in my chat room, because I think once you learn to master the markets, you learn to understand finance, you learn to understand inflation, interest rates. It leads you to understanding and paying more attention to politics, and you could actually start to provide a better life for yourself going forward. It's the teach a man to fish. So I would buy them the highest level of stock trading and day trading information education course that a man can buy, and then it's up to them if they fucking use it or not. But that way they're set for life and understand the markets and the economy.
What an answer. What man of the people, bringing them, lifting them up, giving them.
Right. I'm going to give them
giving
some money. They're going to blow it in a year. If I teach them how to day trade, they're going to fucking be rich forever.
Yeah, not only are you giving them the rod and reel, you're giving them the bait, but you're also putting a pond of very hungry fish right in front of them and telling them
It's
to throw
filling
out the
their
line.
and it's filling their degeneracy, right? What's the difference between stock trading and gambling? It's the same shit. So
Very
you're still
similar.
staying in that fun zone. Yeah.
Two final sections. One, we've got to talk NFL, got to talk football because we're less than a month out. So I don't know if you knew this. I don't know if the listeners will know this, but they will after I say this. Since we're coming off an Olympics year, I want to give a quick disclaimer for the 2028 Olympics. Unfortunately, breakdancing is going to be out.
Oh,
Not going to come back. Bummer.
I missed the videos on Twitter.
Yeah, going to miss those. Going to have to rewatch them for nostalgia. But what's awesome is that 5-on-5 flag football is in.
Good.
So the U.S. men's team will have a 5-on-5 flag football squad to go win a gold medal. My question for you, Tommy, if you had to put together the team today to win a gold medal for the United States in 5-on-5 flag football in the Olympics, who would be on that team and why?
So Joe Burrow, I think, is the best quarterback in the NFL, including Patrick Mahomes. But I think Patrick Mahomes will be better for a flag football format. So I would have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, even though I do believe Burrow is the best. You have to have Tyreek Hill on that team. You have to have Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown on that team. And I'd probably add Jamar Chase and leave off all running backs. I know CMC is a god. Someone you guys went to school with. I know it's probably the chalk answer, the one I should
Man,
say.
if anything,
Christian, if you're listening, I'm a fucking monster fan. But
the McCaffreys already have some.
the only
medals
reason
in
I'm
their
saying is
family.
because you're saying it's 4 years from now, right?
Yeah.
So CMC's probably still going to be viable and legendary in this league even 4 years from now. But you got to kind of take age into factor a little bit at that point. But I want 4 wide receivers because I could just line my wide receivers up at running back coming out of there. So I'm going with the 4 most talented wide receivers in the league right now. And
So Mahomes, Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, and who was the 5th?
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase. Interesting.
Yeah. No one's covering.
Okay, and there's no one in college, the XFL, Canadian, like there's no one else you'd have your eye on for.
You can make an argument for Caleb because I'm a huge Caleb Williams fan. I've been for a long time, even when all you people out there were shitting on him last year as he got slopped by some SEC schools, and now you're all back dick riding him because it's the sexy thing to do. Caleb, I've been with you from the beginning, and I never left, even in Oklahoma. I think he's someone you can make a case for. You could also probably make a case for some of the top defensive backs out there. But for me, if you're talking flag football, I just need speed, and I guarantee you Tyreek Hill could fucking stick any receiver on the other team. So I'm just going with those 4 and Patty or Caleb.
So in your lineup, I just want to be clear. These guys, you're assuming they also can play defense.
Yes, because it's flag football, right? So it's not as much about physicality, right? Like you need a lot of the defensive backs in the NFL are physical, right? Where you don't know.
But can Tyreek Hill backpedal and cover?
Tyreek Hill could cover Justin Jefferson probably right now. That's how athletic he is. Like these guys. You got to remember, all defensive backs are wide receivers who couldn't catch. If they were that good
I played defensive back. Thanks.
I did too.
You're not wrong.
I also played wide receiver, right? So if you look at it, I guarantee you, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, Jamar Chase, all played cornerback in high school. Guarantee you, every single one of them played corner in high school. Meanwhile, a lot of the corners in the NFL might not have had very good hands, and that's why they moved over to cornerback. So I'm pretty certain we'll be all right defensively.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good point.
Yeah.
That is very spot on.
All
all these guys
cornerbacks.
grew up all these guys grew up playing ball in high school.
All of them.
You're that good. Your coach is
you're not
an
playing
absolute
one way
moron if you're not playing them both ways.
Yeah, they could have been playing 2 ways all through college.
That's a powerful team. You think they bring home the gold? Like what confidence level you have?
With me coaching it, I could beat that team with me coaching and 5 scabs. Yeah, if I'm coaching it, yeah, we're bringing home the gold no matter what. Losing's not an option.
You putting in your resume for 2028?
I will be a general manager or coach in the pros. Mark this video. At some point in the next 10 years, I will be either owning a team, general manager of a team, or coaching a high-level college team.
Well, hopefully it's the Niners. Get you out west. That'll be fun.
Maybe DubClub could give us some NIL money over there for one of these smaller college schools.
Yeah. We got to start somewhere. Get some real in the field experience.
Yeah, we got it.
All right, last section on the show for today. 2-minute drill. This one's going to be fun. This is one of my favorite sections.
By the way, we did not prep for any of this. Just so you know, Ryan told me nothing before we came on here, so I have no idea what's coming at me the whole time. This is it. It's perfect. Very genuine, very spot on. The 4 sections in the 2-minute drill. We're going to start with Kiss, Marry, Kill. Keeping it relatively PG. Would you rather, either or, and then some superlatives. It's not in any given order, but we're going to hit on each of those 4 categories. So it'll be quick. Each section, perfect.
Again, to give you a sense of the timing, it's going to be about 30 seconds per section. Are you ready? Tommy, are you still there? I don't know if I lost you.
Yep, right around.
Okay, I think we're both frozen. So give me 1 second.
Yeah, it's clipping in and out a little.
At least
it's been
you're
clipping
frozen.
out for a minute or two there.
Okay. All right, hold on. I'm trying to figure out.
You there? Yours was clipping in and out.
Okay. Well, we'll edit this, so the team will figure it out.
Okay. Yeah. If you're gonna edit it, just start over with the. Okay. If you're gonna edit it, start over because it was breaking up a little bit when you were talking about describing the game. So I would just cold start that.
Okay. Good. All right. So we're gonna do one of my favorite parts of the show. It's the 2-minute drill. Mm-hmm. There's 4 sections. It's gonna be 30 seconds each. The 4 sections: Kiss, Marry, Kill. Start there. Superlatives. Choose one. So either or, and then a would you rather section at the end. Some of the questions, don't judge me. They're random. They're funny. They get a good sense of how your brain operates.
Shoot it.
We're going to start with Kiss, Marry, Kill. Rappers. Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, Eminem.
Eminem, fuck. Eminem, marry. Jay-Z, fuck. And Kendrick Lamar, kill. Yeah, Eminem is the clear best favorite ever.
Eminem has gotten the majority of the marriages,
yeah,
the proposals on the show. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I grew up with Eminem.
Yeah. Pop music: Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, Ariana Grande among those
That's
three.
easy. We're killing Taylor Swift. Fuck that bitch. Ariana Grande is old enough for me to say fuck now, right? Cool. It took about 8 years for us to agree with that. So Ariana Grande, fuck, and then Katy Perry, marry. Yeah, definitely. She seems
Okay,
cool.
and Taylor's gone.
Yeah, we'll eliminate all my cabal conspiracy side of everything, but I fucking despise Taylor Swift. Yes, so.
That we could probably again do a whole show on that. There's a
Yeah,
lot of threads.
I did a whole
to pull
thread
from
on
this.
it. Yeah.
NFL quarterbacks. This one's going to be interesting because one of your darlings in here, actually two of them, Brady, Mahomes, Caleb Williams.
All right, so I'm gonna Brady, Mahomes, Caleb Williams. I'm gonna marry Mahomes. I'm gonna fuck Caleb, and I'm gonna kill Brady. I think Brady doesn't even get drafted if not for Bill Belichick. I think possibly he's a GOAT. I get it. Probably one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. But yeah, I think he was great. I think he was awesome. I think you take him off the Patriots.
Is this just because you're New York?
Well, keep in mind I'm a
sports fan?
Jets fan, so I fucking hate the Patriots. But,
Yeah, I mean, then everything you're gonna tell me is going to be discounted.
The bottom line is Brady's the best leader.
We might have to censor this.
Brady's the best leader ever to play, but he's not even top 10 most talented quarterbacks. But as far as leadership, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, let's put it this way. Brady is the best winner to ever play.
Right, but let's
NFL
also
football.
put it this way. If Joe Burrow were on the Patriots during that time, he wouldn't have lost to Eli Manning twice.
If Joe Burrow's
neither
on
would've.
the Bengals, and I would argue Joe Burrow has a better accompanying squad around him than Brady had.
He also
What
broke
did Brady-
the NFL.
and we're not-
He also broke the NFL
We're
record.
not going to get into this.
No,
You-
but
you
I mean,
and
keep in
I
mind,
can-
Burrow
we'll
had
spat on
been
this.
sacked. Burrow broke the NFL record in sacks back-to-back years. That's how little line he had. So keep that. Remember that too.
All right, that's actually that's a fair statistic, but I'm not going to go down on that one.
We'll argue this
all right.
off the air.
We're gonna get into the superlatives. When you cash a massive play, what song plays in the background?
Purple Lamborghini, probably Skrillex. That's probably my main one. That was my podcast theme song.
What's the craziest thing you do for the Jets to win the Super Bowl?
I'd with my eyes closed lick your left testicle once. Like just a quick swipe, not like a full, but like a.
But would you know what you're doing, or
Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I just don't want to see it. But I would give it a.
But you're okay tasting it. You just don't want to.
No, I don't want
it.
to taste it. Just a quick tip of the tongue, like one of those, like a frog catching a fly. Quick lap at your balls.
Got it. So a touch with the tongue.
A touch of the left testicle with my eyes closed.
That's going pretty far. I got to admit.
Yeah,
so
that's-
I guess you like the Jets. All right, choose one: Jordan or LeBron.
Jordan, come on, it's not even close.
New York or Chicago style pizza.
New York, come on. What are we talking about here?
Spotify or Apple Music.
Fuck Spotify. They fucking banned me from Spotify, so I'm all in
I
Apple
knew that
Music.
was gonna.
Even though I'm not, I gotta go Apple Music.
Anti-Spotify. No more podcasts.
Fuck
hosted on
Spotify used to be in my
please.
bio on Twitter, so yeah, that's definitely gonna stand there.
Morning or night person? I'm actually curious on this one.
All right, this is an interesting answer because my most productive time is actually between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. So I don't know if that would be considered morning, even though it's a carryover from that night. But I find myself to be the most productive when the veil between the universes drops between like 2 to 4 a.m. So
When do you sleep?
I don't sleep much. I do kind of steal naps throughout the day here and there, but I'm usually up around 9:30, 10. And I usually go to bed around 4:35. So I get about 5 hours there, and then, I'll usually find time to catch up. But it's usually about 5 hours a day that I sleep. But I'm so productive from 1 to 4 a.m.
When the rest of the world is asleep.
When
and
everyone,
you just
because
can't
you know
sleep,
what it's
though.
like, right? As a CEO, fucking no one's bothering you. You can just fucking, and the veil of the universe is thinner at that time if you want to get in touch with your kind of spiritual side of everything.
Again, way more to learn on that one with you.
Yeah.
Crunchy or smooth peanut butter? A little more simple of a question here.
I'm good with either, but since we were talking about your balls, I'll go with crunchy.
Interesting. Okay, I figured you'd go with smooth on that.
I mean, I like a little crunch. I like a little texture to everything.
When you pay a friend, preference of Venmo or Cash App?
Venmo, because I'm not a webcam girl or a prostitute.
Fair answer. Who's more likely to win the next Super Bowl? More likely, Bears or the Patriots?
Bengals. Let's see. Bears, baby. Caleb Williams. Come on now. You guys got a squad out there. I'm going to be coming out to Chicago a lot more this year. Just
yeah, good answer. Good answer.
Yeah,
You'll get
you got
another
my boy. You got
invite
my
because
boy
of that.
with you there.
Yeah. We'll air this when they're in the playoffs.
There you go.
Fingers
Caleb,
crossed.
let's go.
All right, would you rather section. Would you rather only be able to bet on the NBA or only be able to bet on the NFL?
Only be able to bet on the NFL. Yeah. Even though I think the NBA is they're both so rigged, it's so hard to figure out.
And that's why I asked the question. You make a lot of money on
both
NBA,
so
but
rigged. Yeah.
it's just
The thing about it is,
good.
yeah, NFL's too good. You take that away. If you told me I was going to bet this year and lose $1 million on the NFL, I'd still bet just for the fucking
still do it,
fun
yeah.
of it. Yeah, I can't not bet on the NFL. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I know the answer to this. Would you rather only be able to whisper or only be able to shout?
Shout. I only shout anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say you pretty much already answered that question.
I literally am that person. So
Yeah.
Would you rather
I don't
be
think
Tommy
you're
or
physically
someone
able
else?
to whisper.
No,
I can almost assure that.
Why?
Would you rather travel 50 years in the past or 50 years into the future?
Excuse me. And do what? Exist there? Like live
Yes.
there, or just see what's up?
Any of the above. If your answer changes depending
So
on
if it's to live
situation.
and exist, it's the past because the world gets worse every fucking year.
Yeah.
If it's just to check it out and like take a quick stop for a day, like travel there, see what's up, and come back, then it would be future. Realistically, I would love to have been born right around where I would be like 20s, 30s during like Peaky Blinders times, like Tommy Shelby type shit. So
Really? So
yeah,
going
I
all the
would've-
way back to 100 years ago.
Yeah, I would have probably wanted to be born in like 1930 so that I could have missed World War I and all that, World War II
But
and all that
fought
shit.
in World War II?
Yeah, but there's an age there where you kind of skip it, where you're old enough to disqualify. I forget what it was, but that's where I would want to be.
I think if you're less than 18, you can't be
Less
drafted.
than 18, right? So you needed to be born
So
at
you
a
would have
time
had
where
to
you
be
were
born
too
in-
young for one, and then you were old enough to be out of two.
Yeah, like post Great Depression, so like 1935 maybe.
It's like right around there,
1936.
right around 33, 35,
Yeah,
something like that.
you'd hit all the good times.
Yeah, that's you get all the good shit and you miss the fucking worst. So, I thought a lot about this, Ryan.
You get to see the internet invented, and then
Exactly.
say la
Yeah,
vie.
exactly. And you still got the free love phase for Woodstock and all that shit.
Exactly. Yeah, the late 1900s. Those are the good times.
Best.
Would you rather be able to fly or breathe underwater?
Fly. Fuck water. Yeah, fly, dude. I want to fly everywhere. I fucking, yeah.
You could fly over games and watch. Just
I mean,
hover there.
if you told me I had superhuman depth ability where I go see to the bottom of the ocean and shit like that, yeah, I'm dying to know what the fuck's down there. But yeah, flying's great, dude. Yeah, just fly over nude beaches all day. It'd be awesome.
Unfortunately, I can only give you one superpower at a time. So you can breathe underwater. I don't know how deep you can go. That's still
Yeah.
TBD. You'd have to figure that out. If you breathe underwater, maybe you can go deep. There's different
I would
atmospheres
imagine,
you'd have to
right?
go
it would
through.
depend on your skeletal structure. I would imagine more than.
Yeah, I think you'd get pretty crushed around
end up
400
like that.
feet.
End up like
Fun
that fucking
fact.
Titanic.
For my, I think it was my 13th birthday. My dad and I went down in a submarine to about 1,200 feet.
Really?
Yeah,
Were
nothing
you-
to see
were you
down there,
those
to be
guys?
honest. I think we discovered some life form that hadn't existed. I forget what it was, but I didn't even know what it was. Like I was like, this is pitch black down here, so I don't think it would be that fun.
There was something. Hold on. What would be your favorite superpower if you could have one? Or give me. I'm going to quiz you on one. Give me an
You're gonna ask me?
underrated. Yeah, I want to ask you one. Give me an underrated superpower. So everyone says what superpower would you have? I'll start it off. I'll give you one.
Yeah, you give me an example of what an underrated superpower.
I would
be.
say photographic reflexes, and I believe there's another name for it. But there's a superpower where everything you see, you can actually do. So if you watch someone play the piano, you can actually now take that skill and play the piano.
Oh, that's
so something
super
like that
interesting.
would be fucking sick because I get bored very easily. So like if I'm bored of
Yeah.
this skill, it's
You're like, I want to learn something.
I want to
new
break
today.
dance. Go watch that. I want to learn karate. Like I think that would be like an amazingly fun superpower to have.
So I disagree that you'd find that fun because if you get bored easily and you knew exactly, you could snap your fingers and learn the skill, you'd get bored immediately.
Yeah, but you could just like kick someone's ass for a day, and then you could draw some dope pictures for a day, and then you could paint for like. By the time you get bored, you could just do something like I'll be Adele and start singing.
Do
like,
something
for a day.
new.
Yeah, it's just there's always something. Yeah.
So that would be similar to my underrated is you can participate as another human for a day. I can
See, that's
choose
the
to
same-
be
that's-
anybody.
right.
So what
We're
I
the
would
same
do
page.
on like February 7th, I would be in Patrick Mahomes' body and
Right.
play quarterback in the Super Bowl.
U.S.
Right,
Open,
like,
you're Scotty Scheffler, and then you're, Mozart or
exactly.
fucking Elon Musk when he's shooting a
I'd
rocket.
travel back in time. I'd be MJ in all the NBA finals. I think that would be.
You know what's
a
funny, Ryan? That
super
it's,
awesome
and I know we got to
superpower.
wrap here, but that tells you a lot about the person when you ask them about their superpowers. It tells you how deep their mind goes and where they're going to.
Yep.
The fact that we both decided to do something that changes every single day to be something else that's amazing and be the best out of it probably says a lot about me and you as friends now.
Yeah, I think it makes sense that we ended up where we are in terms of what we're doing, because there is never a dull day in this land if you want to continue to iterate and continue to be successful. So I have two more questions for you. These are both kind of funny, and this is interesting. Would you rather be a superhero or a wizard? I know we just talked about powers, but wizardry, you can cast spells, which is powerful.
It is. I'd probably rather be a wizard. I think most people will say superhero because it's fun. Superhero sounds exhausting. You got to go save stuff.
It's like that'd be fun for a while.
As an owner of a business, like being famous sounds fun. Being rich sounds fun. Being a CEO sounds fun. I'd rather be a wizard, dude. You just fucking lay in the cut and control everything from behind the scenes. That's
Exactly.
You a wizard too?
Oh yeah. Everyone answers superhero. I'm like, wizardry, man. Have you ever seen Harry Potter?
Wizard,
They've got some
wizard.
Incredible stuff going on.
I want to just one time just do something with my fingers like this and just make someone just stop and freeze, like that type of
You
shit.
can like lift them up, move them around,
just start moving
teleport
them
them somewhere.
Pirouette. Yeah.
Someone's having a bad day, you just cast a
pieces.
spell and throw them on a roller coaster. Hey,
someone's annoying you, boom, you're a frog. Get out of here.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And you're just like, don't worry, it'll be changed in 20 minutes. You're in timeout.
I just need a fucking break from you right now.
Yeah. All right, last question. Would you rather see babies dressed as animals or animals dressed as humans?
Animals dressed as babies is the funniest fucking thing in the world. When you see those videos on Instagram, you see the little dogs with the fucking bonnet, and then it looks like it has the dude. Anything animal. I'd rather see animals do anything over humans. Fuck humans. All in animals.
Yeah. I agree. Animals are just the best.
Animals are the best. Fuck animals. We don't deserve them.
We don't. All right, Tommy, we're at a wrap for the CEO Corner. No surprises. We went over time, but it's been a blast. We're gonna do this again soon, hopefully in person. But if we can't make that happen, we'll hop back on here. It's been a blast having Tommy from 4G.
I think we should put the end at the beginning because that was the best part. Let's start there so they don't miss it.
Yeah, well, I have the video editors to tell Doran and Nick, awesome guys. Make sure we edit this appropriately.
Yeah, great.
Tommy, good stuff. It's been a blast having you on the CEO Corner.
Appreciate
I'll be talking to you very soon. We're signing off for the evening.